master way.
All right, y'all, welcome to one of our first ever episodes of Seek Joy. I'm going to introduce you a little bit to our guest and allow her to introduce herself. So just as a friendly reminder for anybody that is new, Seek Joy is a podcast called Seek Joy because it's Jesus, others, yourself in that order, and a place for people to share vulnerably, a safe space for sinners to really talk about, your testimony and how God has worked in your life with the hope to plant some seeds and maybe just get some people talking. So I'm really excited about who I have here because she is somebody that's been in my life for a few years, and it's cool because we don't talk all the time. So y'all are about to hear some stuff that I'm about to hear for the first time, which is super exciting for me. But we have Yolanda Jackson in the house.
Ow,
Okay, period,
yes.
girl. Give me a little bit about who you are, kind of like how I know you.
Yes.
And just start wherever you feel like starting with kind of like your journey and your testimony. What's been going on?
Yes, absolutely. I am super excited for this journey for you, for sure, and excited to be here. Yolanda Jackson, the homegirl from all things, literally. Born and raised here in Columbus. Definitely met Cheyenne just in a great transitional time in my life. And so it was so funny. I do vividly remember the first day that we met.
Really?
And I remember we were doing the tour of all the nonprofits, the social enterprises and things like that. And no, it was when we did the team building. I think that was the one.
Yes, the Eureka game.
Yeah. And so I think that I gravitated towards, I was like, just the energy itself. Like, it was almost like this aura, like it was just like this person, like I got to know her. And then our first kind of I think we might even been on the same team or we just had conversations at the same table. But I was just super drawn to just your genuine kind of personality and things like that. And then we learned when I was planning for my 40th that how much of an age gap we were.
Girl, I was like, there ain't no way you about to be 40. Let's start there, fam. There ain't no way. Okay,
And so,
y'all should have seen David's face. Which, mind you, David is the producer. I said 40, and he said,
yeah,
correct.
Actually 42 now, but yeah.
I'm correct.
Right.
What?
And but we just, regardless of that and our professional kind of connections and things like that, at the time I think I was transitioning from HFF to yeah. So we were connected in that way, yeah. And so I was just in we just dive in, but I was in a space of just what is next for me, right? Where I was trying to figure out what my calling, my purpose, and all that stuff was. I was in this big countdown to 40, right? And I really was like, is this where God, is this where I really need to be? Am I where I'm supposed to be right now, right? And I also felt like I had given so much of my life to others. I literally had kids, got married, and I was literally taking my, I was a caregiver, my father passed away. It was I looked back and I was just what have I done for myself? What have I done to really pour into my cup instead of other people's? So I started with the professional, and I loved my job that I was in, but it was kind of I was stagnant. I wasn't going anywhere else. It was almost I could probably do it in my sleep. And I was just am I really
that you were doing?
So before I was at Goodwill.
Okay.
Loved it. Now definitely thinking about staying and being happy would have, it was hard for me, but I knew that I did want to move further up. So went to HFF and that didn't work out. And then I literally got the opportunity. I had a mutual friend that was leaving the previous company I was at the time, and didn't know that I was not working at the time. And it was oh my gosh, you're perfect for it, which I was. It aligned with everything that I wanted to do, what my next was. I loved it. My team was solid. I felt like it was my God job. I did. I felt like it was my God job. I felt like and it was because it served the purpose to figure out
Absolutely. Nothing
what,
wasted.
yeah, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
lots of added value of things that has helped me in the journey of all things, right?
Yeah.
Like good and bad.
Yep.
So yeah, so I mean that was that in the time that we kind of like connected and met. And so, and I think that our journeys are from that is where it kind of got
Yes, girl.
it intersected so many ways. Like we were getting our spiritual life right. We was getting our physical life right, our professional life right. And I think that during that time too, that's when I probably got a little cocky with it, you know.
Say it again.
I got like I was feeling myself. I was making the most money that I had ever made at the time. I was being more visible.
Yeah.
I was put out there to, kind of be the poster child of, being successful, right? And with that, more money, more problems. And a lot of people will use you
Yeah.
and will gravitate to you for their own gain. And I'm all things to all people. Like I'm no, what I would say is I never met a stranger. And like I literally can see people, I can meet people where they are. And so, but I feel like I see good in all people. Like I don't judge anybody, right? And so in those space, that kind of personality and that kind of person can be manipulated and put in situations by people who will use that. And so in the journey of that 2 years of being in the limelight, being kind of again getting all these like awards and accolades and making good money and traveling, all of that, I think I was tested and put in a lot of situations and where I didn't handle it probably the best way, right? I questioned a lot of, again, am I continuing to live the purpose of pouring into others, but also putting like kind of like trying to figure out like how to serve your community, but also pouring into your cup and all those things, right? Like yeah, it can it's a, and then it's also too like your natural gain of wanting to be successful and wanting to move further in your career, but also stay humble.
Yes.
And stay like true to who you are is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I literally talked about that at Bible study today.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard.
It's hard.
Because you sit here, you're doing God's work in a lot of ways, but then it's literally like, my ego's getting a little inflated because you see me and you see what I'm able to do. It's like, wow, Cheyenne, you're so great. Wow, this is so great. And it's like, okay. But then I'm worried about what you think of me when I should be worried about what God's thinking of me and how,
all the things, right?
Yep.
And so then you're like, okay. And then I think the other thing was like, sometimes you want to revert back.
Yeah.
You want to really just get into your bubble and focus. But in certain positions and certain times, like you don't have that luxury. Like, because you out here in the streets really literally in the streets, like promoting and trying to fundraise. I mean, you're in situations and it's like that was the part for me where it started to get hard. And then when you're in those situations, something always is suffering. And who was suffering? My family. My family was suffering because I'm trying to stay on top and stay ahead, and keep, I guess, earn my keep, and things like that. And then, but then the other thing is the more that you do and and it seems like you're doing it well, but you're really struggling and you're not being honest with the struggle, then more gets put on you, right?
Because you're good at it.
Because you're good at it, right? Yeah. It's like, okay, you can do more. Like, oh, you could take this. So then I excelled up, I moved up, and it just got super real. It was like, God, like, so it's like, like it's that gain and that battle, that race, sometimes does not align with your spiritual path, right? And so, but then you feel like you're a failure when you want to step down or when you want to walk away.
Yep.
Or when I mean, I felt like I was going to abandon the community that I had committed to serve. I thought I was going to abandon my team.
Yeah,
But
that's
then
real.
God said, I literally, I didn't even, I mean, I prayed about it. I was still, I was quiet. And then in that stillness and quietness, I realized I wasn't still and quiet before when I was out in the streets, when I was doing this, when I was moving around and all that, that he probably was trying to tell me a long time ago. And so I told my mom, it was so funny. I was like, I'm about to stop saying life be lifing, because it's not life be lifing. Like we be lifing the life,
Girl.
but the
Yes.
God be God, and you're like, it's so loud and it's so busy, and it's you really have to be still and quiet
Yes.
to really hear it. So I
Yes.
was still and quiet.
Be still and know that I am God. When I tell you, yes. Yep.
Yes. And so
Yep.
then I talked to a mutual friend of mine who I've known for many, many years. And he had kind of experienced the same experience that I had. And I said, I'm struggling. Like, I need to figure out, I need somebody to know me from where, in all phases of my life, like pre-motherhood, pre-marriage, like all the things. I need somebody to tell me, am I tripping?
Yeah.
Like, am I tripping? And so sent me a scripture, literally. Well, hooked me up with somebody who I went through the same situation, same position, same company, was like my predecessor. Okay. And she gave me a quote. It was Matthew. It was one of Matthew scriptures, and it was the ones about how swine will trample your gifts. It's about pearls, and it's.
I think, let me keep talking.
Yes,
I'm gonna look it up.
I have.
I think you sent it to me.
Yes, I sent it to you. Literally, that's when the wheels started. Like, literally, I think it was probably less than a week. Okay, and I read the quote over and over again, and literally, Matthew 7:6. Don't waste what is holy on people who are unholy. Don't throw your pearls to pigs. They will trample the pearls and turn and attack you. Girl, when she sent me that, it pierced into my soul that was what was happening to me. And she's literally, it was the same cycle. It was like she was struggling. Somebody sent her that. She sent it. It was just like a breath. I like literally, like, I will get into like tears in my eyes just to really, like, at that time I was just like, wow, like, okay, this is it. Like, this is it. And I threw all the feelings of fear. And I just said, you know what? Like, God, I'm gonna listen to you. Whatever you choose. Like, I was going to be unemployed.
Yes, you were. Ain't that crazy?
No, I was like not going to go, like, because people, always say like, no, you can't just quit a job. You got to find a job. I was like, nah, no. I was really like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And so, so after that, I was quiet, and God literally told me, today's the day.
Who?
Today's, like, you are not about to walk into the next 24 hours. You're not going to wake up. And because my other thing is, I was not wanting to wake up and do the next, like, it was starting to get hard. And it was like, I was losing sleep. My health was involved. And so, I literally made the choice that day was not going to end without me making a decision about what my next was. And so I did that, and I felt amazing. And I moved on, and so now I'm in a place of clarity. I think my biggest moving into this year, I think, like I said, that the angel numbers of 444 I got, is just about being protected, a devotion and just clarity forever, and not to even dwell on the past, but just to move forward, and be intentional, and be in all things.
Yeah.
And so again, the lessons was learned, and I think that it was a chapter that needed to happen in my life. But I think that sometimes you have to go through trials and tribulations and things that happen for God to really be like, I told you, but you wasn't trying to listen. I tried to tell you. And I think he did definitely many a times. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm like, I got this.
Yep. And then you try to live by your flesh, and like what you're like. First of all, you should not rely on your own understanding. That's literally God says, do not rely on your own understanding. Then we try so many times to allow our own understanding to get in the way of what you can literally hear him telling you, no, don't do that. And then you go and do it. And then he's like, and that's the thing is like, he forgives you, but he's also a very just God. And people don't want to acknowledge that like, he's a father. He's going to you're going to get disciplined. Like it is what it is. There are consequences to actions. You know what I mean? So it's like, he's going to be right there. He's going to hold your hand. You're not going to fall. You're going to stumble. But it's like, there's going to be consequences because I am a just God and I love you. And if I didn't love you, I wouldn't have to like allow this to happen how it happened, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like you learn so much in everything. Like you learned so much through all of that. And what I'm interested, truthfully, to hear, because you had talked about how you heard him. What was that like for you? Because I think that's like really hard for people sometimes to be like, I don't hear God, or like I don't know how to even like look for his voice. Or hear for his voice.
Yeah. I do. I'm so grateful that and I talked to my mom about this, and my mom is also a like huge spiritual guide for me. But she will, I mean, literally, like there's a few times my mom was like, God told me to tell you. And there's a few times, and she'll tell you that I was like, okay, like, and didn't. And she reminded me, like, literally God told me to tell you, I did what he told me to do. And, and so, literally, like, I think that again, being in still, so I usually will hear, like, I'll be awakened usually, like, get up and hear this, right? Or it'll be something that maybe like when I reflect on the day, I'll notice that there were signs that happened, that really, or situations that I'll be put into where like clear as day, I will hear stop, don't, like literally. And sometimes it's loud, like don't, no.
So
and something may happen too. Like it'll be something crazy. And I'll call my mom like, Mom, God told me not to, and 3 people was killed. Like, and like seriously, like it would be something like that. But the other thing that for me was during this time, I felt like I heard God so frequently. That was what it was for me. Like literally, like I literally will like document, like I would like write it down, or I would call my mom like, Mom, like this is like day 4, like. And that's what it was, like literally in that 7 day, in 7 days, I'm telling you, from the time that I got that scripture to the time I put my resignation in, I'm going to get emotional. That is I think 4 days out of that 7 day process, I heard God like, keep going. Don't look, like move forward. You got this, like literally. And and it's not always, like, I will say that people who say that they don't, like, I will see signs. You have to be intentional and pay attention though too, right? You have to really communicate and ask God, I'm listening. You do. You have to really say, God, I'm listening. I'm here. Like, you have to start there, right? And when you are really in a situation where you're really lost, like
in the wilderness, boo.
When you are lost,
I'll be there right now.
That's when, that's when. And I think that's when it happens.
Loud. Yes.
That's when it happens. And so I'm grateful for that, because then I look, and then you really think too, like, what would have happened? I'm going to tell you what would have happened. I would have got fired.
So what happened was...
I would have been just like moving through the motions. I would have not been intentional, and I would have lost my purpose. I would have been unhappy. I would have fell into other, other flesh, situations, drinking. So, I mean, it could have been everything, right? Yeah. And then I would have had situations to where I could have lost everything.
Yeah.
you know? And my other thing is like, when you really want, when you have the values and you know what you want and you are willing to do the work or take the hard steps, then that's when the reward is much better. And that was what was for me, right? Like the reward was that I know my worth. I know what I can give to the world, to the community, to my family, to, you know, people that are in my circles and things like that. So I know that for me, and knowing myself, that I have to have the choice. Like you can't make me put myself into a situation and me be okay with that. So for me, I don't like to be told that something is going to happen without me being able to prepare. So I'm me having some, or me and God having some type of control over my life's journey is all the reward for me, right? So I'm just thankful that that was the situation, that even it was hard, and it, you know, I still had some ability to navigate through it and feel confident in understand that this has to happen. It's going to be hard, but it's going to look good on the other side of this, right? Like I had no like fear that I was making the wrong decision. I had no fear because God told me. Like God said. God said.
No, I love that though, because it's like, first of all, what I think is beautiful is the fact that he spoke to you and you moved so abruptly. Because that's the thing, is I think a lot of us get stuck on the, he said it, but like, I'm guilty of this, like heavy. He said it, but can I get a sign? Can I get another sign? Can I get another sign?
Okay.
Can I get another sign that that's really what you want me to do? Is that God's voice? Is that my voice? Like, how do I, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I think some people get stuck in they don't move fast enough, but then you're like, kind of, people say like, you're like blocking your own blessings because you're causing that to take too much longer. So it's like, think of even if you would have waited 2 weeks instead of like a week, how differently it might have been. But you're like, no, like he said it and I'm moving and like, here I go. And I think that that's a beautifully like obedient thing, because obedience is something I think we don't talk a lot about too when it comes to like a relationship with God. Is like, if he says to do it, do it. Like, do it. Like, he literally told me to tithe a lot of money to the church, and he's like, I said, God, I don't even got that kind of money.
Yeah.
And he said, what you asking for? I told you to go do it.
Right.
And I was like, okay, all right, fam, like, I'm gonna do it if you tell me to do it, because it's like, I know the God that I serve. I know how good he is, and I know that it's gonna come 10 times fold for whoever I give it to.
Absolutely.
And all the way back, because he says that, and like within the Bible, it literally says that that's how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's the beauty of you so quickly being obedient and moving. And then, so did you have the job then lined up after? So how were you unemployed for like how long?
Oh my gosh. So again, God be gotten. Literally. Okay, listen.
He said, baby, we in the wilderness.
God be gotten, because no, I had not a plan. Because the other thing is, I think I didn't want to, I knew that I had to, in order for me to move forward, I didn't want to be sneaky about like, you know, because it's all connected. We all know that, right? It's all connected. And so if you're not happy, just say you're not happy, right? I'm not happy. But yet, I didn't want my blessings to be blocked by others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So I had to make a decision of this is happening, right? And then I was going to intentionally seek my next after I had made that severance, basically, right?
Yeah.
Because that's just not how I operate either, right? Like, because I have to focus on one thing at a time, right? And so I knew that I probably was going to stay in the space of obviously nonprofit and housing, like, you know, that wasn't the problem. It was fine. God said, so I put it in, okay? God said. So I put it in, right? And my birthday was coming up. That was the other thing. And so I had a trip planned, but and let me back up a little bit too. When you said too about being obedient and about being so urgent, I will say too that I have a very strong spiritual support system, and so I think that that's another thing that, and again, I think that also my spiritual circle was all going through some type of transition and some type of change, and we really like we was all going through it at the same time, right? And so we were leaning on each other for a lot of support too. So we were using our situations to really navigate and encourage each other. So I think that to the urgency too, that was the thing, like, girl, like, don't fall into this pitfall. Don't listen to God. God told me, and like everyone's saying, like, I feel this is the right thing. Like, so that support thing is another big thing, right? Having a spiritual community, like, and I love the fact that the Bible studies and having, prayer groups, morning call, like all the things, like those are very powerful too, to open up your ears to what God is trying to tell you. So I will say that was a part of the urgency as well. Like, but I'm ready for my trip. I took the whole week off. I journaled. I poured into myself. I did all the things. On my birthday trip, I got a job offer. So literally the next week. So I had already put my resignation in.
I hear you.
And so then I was like, oh, okay. Like, God, yes. Okay, cool. And then I had so then I was like, I had put in some, literally I had put like 4 applications in the night that I had put my resignation in. Got interviews for 2. First interview, I was the only candidate. My current job right now, I was the only candidate. They canceled the second interview, like, fast tracked it. Literally, like, the next week after my first interview, they offered me the job. Wow. I accepted the job on my vacation, and then I got another interview with another job. I really liked both of them, and so then I was in a situation where they both wanted me, and I had to make a decision on which one. And again, I went back to God, like, God, like, which one? Like, I was again, like, and everyone's like, girl, this is a good problem to have, like, right? You know, like, and like, so I did not have a big gap. I mean, I was able to create some space to really, like, reset and get myself together, spend some time with my family for Thanksgiving and things like that, and then started my new venture, and I love it.
That's dope.
Love it. So
that's dope.
Again, like, it was, I mean, whiplash, like, what? Like, it was, I came out of it stronger.
Yeah.
Like, mentorship and I have found so many, and like we said, like, we don't talk all the, like, time, but when, like, even with our relationship, like, I mean, I think sometimes God even like, when I reached out to you, like, I think God was like, like, there's some alignment here, right? And then I was like, okay, yeah, like, I'm leaving, like, like, what's up with you? Like, no. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm like,
girl.
I was like, this is
so in sync. Yeah.
So in sync, right?
So in sync.
And so I think that is one of the biggest things that I found when you go through situations. You find who your people are, and you find those that are for you and those who are not for you. And that is exactly what I found. I found some leeches. Yeah. I found some scorpions. I found some all snakes and pigs and okay. I found everybody. Like, people will use you. People will backstab you. I mean, and so, but again, God taught us to, we have to really walk in His image, and like, I'm not that person. That part. I'm not that person. Part. So
if I got again, fruit to be multiplied, I'm not trying.
And my other thing is, boo, you just showing your true character. Yeah. Like, you doing the work I don't have to say nothing bad about you, because and I'm a strong enough person to where I will be, God, no, right? Come on. So that was the other thing. Like,
don't test me because I could, but I won't.
I know, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all know I could bite, but I'm not going to. Yeah. Because I'm a nice girl.
Right. And so I think that was the thing too. It was like, it showed, and maybe that was what I was needing too, because it was so funny. A lot of people like, everybody ain't your friend. I'm like, but like, or like, that person ain't for you. And I'm like, I just need to work on her. Like, I just need to work on her a little bit.
Guilty.
And it's like, people be so like, no. And so I went through a lot of that too. And so, but that it was something I have never been through before though either. Yeah. And so I am super grateful that I was put in spaces that I didn't shrink myself. That was the other thing. Like, I feel like a lot of people are really trying to live for other people's like they're like thinking about everybody else's perspectives. They're thinking about, well, what are people gonna think if what? That part for me is something that's not in my DNA. I'm sorry, it's not. I don't care about like if it is something that is within my purpose, because that's literally my life's journey forever, like forever to find what is my purpose, like, and I know that it can change, right? And I know that, I mean, I'm a mother. I'm always gonna be a mother, like, and so those are things that, are a part of who I am, it's a part of my purpose, but it's not my only purpose. And that was the thing too, right? It was like, I'm not just somebody's mama. I'm not just somebody's wife. I'm not somebody's supervisor, manager, director, all the things. Like, I am Yolanda. Like, I am me, right? I am, like you said, a child of God. Like, and I am always going to be that to the day I die, right? And so
that's the only label that I want.
That's the only label I want.
Only label that I want.
Period.
Like,
right?
I don't want all these. Yeah, because that's what I think is so funny. Because think about when people literally say, like, when they first meet you, they don't go with, hey, what's your favorite hobby? Like, what do you like to do? They go, so what do you do for a living? Oh, so you're already going to label me to decide where I fit in on your structure. Am I here? Am I here? Am I here? And that's why it's so fun now, because people that don't know me when I was in the sphere that I was in and only know me now, it's so funny because, like, they have no idea who Cheyenne was before. They're like, oh, so, like, where'd you serve before here? And I'm like, wow. It's, like, so healthy for my, like, ego being deflated and, like, pride going away and, like, all of those things that I was getting built up over on this side. You know what I mean? And it's just funny because I'm like, you have no idea me here. They have no idea. They probably can't believe that I'm over here, like, totally, like you said, flipping everything all the way around. But that's what God had to do. He was like, child, I needed to, because I had, like, toxic loyalty, like, very toxic loyalty, where I'll stay somewhere way too long, even when I should not be remaining there, because I want to please people and I care about the mission and I care about the things that we're doing. And then I'm just like, Cheyenne, this is not serving you or serving this organization, or, oh girl, it was a whole thing. Yeah. Wow. I had to go through a whole whirlwind of detaching my worth from, like, my career and, like, saying, Cheyenne, like, that's not where value lies. It lies within, like, literally what God says about you. And, like, that's it. That's it. Period.
Like, that is it.
Literally. So, yeah.
Yeah, and meanwhile, my toxic trait is being all over the place. I am all over the place, right? I'm like, I'm going to do this. Nope, not going to do that anymore. I'm going to go over here and do this. I'm like, yeah, so I need a little bit of that so I can stay put. But, I mean, no, But I mean, I think that, again, like, you're still young, like, and I mean, maybe I'm in my career when I was younger. I think that's probably where I was too. I mean, I had different priorities, as well. But it's, life will take you places and change you, and and so, like you said too, like, when people see me, I'm a mixed bag of everything, and so that's hard for me to even, like, pinpoint when they're like, so what do you like to do, or what is it like? I mean, yeah, it's a long list, right? But the one thing I can say is that I'm super genuine, super, like, transparent person, right? Like, really, you get what you get, and I'm unapologetically, like, myself, right?
But, and, like, unapologetically who you are, but you're such a kind person. Like, it's not even like this, I am who I am. Like, you're like, no, I'm just, like, this is who I am. And it's not going to change. You're not going to flip me because, again, I'm a child of God. I know how to move. I know how I want to move. I know how He wants me to move.
Exactly.
I'm not going to flip up just because you want me to get emotionally regulated.
Yeah.
I won't.
Yeah, and I'm not going to fit in a box. I've never been that person as well. And
people always want to put
always. And that is, like, my true pain point with, again, like, shrinking and putting in a box and trying to define and just a very small list of things. Like, that's not who I ever was. And I'm grateful for, all my experiences that have shaped me to be that way. And I don't know what the one thing is, like, that of why, but I mean, I will say too, like, I'm big into like, I'm a millennial, number one, right? And so like we've been through some stuff, number one, right? But I mean, I'm also the astrology side, like I'm a Libra. And so I think that like I'm textbook to some of that if anybody really follows that. But I have also like in reflection of just like being in this middle age kind of like space and all the craziness that we went through in COVID and all the things that are happening. I really reflect on how God has put me like we all have trauma, right? Like we have,
absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
I feel like I was protected and safe in a lot of instances growing up. I grew up in a like very bad neighborhood. Like I walked home since I was in the 4th grade, had a key to the house. Like, I mean, like I look back like on even like in my parenting style and the things that I've tried to protect my kids from that I wasn't protected from. But like I was never put in any situation to be like, I was never like some of the things that people I've heard, like they've been like raped and molested as a child, or like they've had like all these like crazy situations. And I thank God every day that I never was put in those. And so I think that that's the part that really shows my kindness for the world, I guess. Like that's a part that has made me want to give to those, especially too within our work. It's hard, right? Like I'm working with the homeless population right now, and there's so much. We do the trauma inform and the yes. And so I mean, social work is definitely another thing that has called me to, right? I mean, I feel like that's just who I am. It was what I was supposed to do. And so God just showed me that like meet people where they are, right? And I've always done that. I see people, I see where they are. I know that you can't help, right? You can't fix.
Right.
But if
I can't save you, I can serve you.
Right. Like a kind, listening ear, a very transparent, honest, humble person that sits in front of you and lets you tell you what's going on their worst day and not, have any kind of like judgment or any kind of like, those are like true things that are into my core that make me who I am, right? And so if that's a part of my purpose, God, okay, right? I'm doing that part. That's easy, right? I'm using the experiences and all the things that have led me to this 42-year-old, life that I am right now, and unapologetically like serving in that capacity. And I know that there's more, and there's going to be more. Like I know, like pretty soon I'll be an empty nester. I know. And so like, I have a 17-year-old who is going to be a senior next year. And so then I'm thinking about what is that going to look like, right? Like, but and then that's the other thing too, like being that, that, this person that I am, like, I know that the things that I have poured into my family is going to be kind of a next part of my legacy, a next part of my purpose, right? Like I'm shaping humans to be kind, individuals into the world. And so God is leading me through that. But God is also reminding me that this is just a small part of my life, right? So what is my next? I don't know. But I'm seeking, all the things that I can give, all the things that I'm capable of giving, and excited for, all the next journeys and all the milestones and lessons. And I know that, again, God be gotten, life don't be lifing, God be gotten, and that he got me, and so once you have that, you're golden. You're good, right? Sticking to your word, reading the word, and having, your strong spiritual, community. And I mean, that's right there where people need to for real start. And so that's
find a faith-based friend.
No, for real. Like,
it's huge.
It is. It's huge.
It's huge.
And then everything will fall in place from there, right? Like, so for those that are really trying to figure out, like, what, God, tell me, God, like, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do? Is, those taking those steps, And it's hard.
It is.
It's hard.
It's very difficult.
Especially for a lot of like my introverts or a lot of the people who just don't trust people, right?
Yep.
Like, let God place that person and just really listen as well. Because I know that's
person.
Yes. Yeah. Pray for that person,
right? That's what I did. And then he brought it. I promise you he did. Yeah. He really did. And like that.
Wow. Yeah. So who's that person for you?
So for me, it's so funny because I feel like God took over our lives, like wholeheartedly. So I've always been a believer. I keep saying, like, I've always been a believer, but not exactly like following in the strongest way, like with obedience. And like, I first started reading the Bible for the first time like 2 months ago, maybe. Like I didn't grow up in like a big faith-based home. Like my mom did like prayers when we were little, and that's not a bash on my parents. They're phenomenal parents. We just weren't faith-based. Right. And, but I just like, God pulled me out of that job, and I was like, okay, God, my hands off, or like literally off of everything. I don't know. Like, I don't know now. Like,
take the wheel.
Yeah, like literally take the wheel because I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And so I just started first started my mindset stuff. And then I was like, no, but God's like, it's me, fam. Like, it's me. It's nobody else but me. And I'm like, okay, you're right. Like, it's not this like other mindset stuff I'm trying to say, like, I need to do this or I need to do this. No, God, it's you. But I think it was hard for me because I'm not in a big like faith-based community where talking about God is normal. So even doing this was like terrifying for me because I was like, people are going to think I'm so bananas for talking about how much God has changed my life, but like all I want is for people to experience that. So my girl, I met her actually when I was serving homeless youth, and we were both like living very like by the flesh, like living life, doing the things, and God took her and me like literally probably like the same month. And when I tell you we're like this now, like, wow, because we're both at the same point on our faith journey of like obedience and like moving forward. Her name's Brenna. She just moved, like God told her to move to Savannah, Georgia. Oh, wow. So she moved to Savannah, Georgia. She doesn't have a job, is living on faith, living off of like, literally like, okay, God, what's next? Like every day, every decision she makes. And like, that's exactly how I want to live my life. Like every single decision, like, okay, God, what do you want to do with this? Cause like none of this is mine. Like everything is yours. What do you want to do with it? And so I'm learning to like ask those questions, and I have never felt like more free and more at peace. And like, I'm so grateful for her because I don't think I would be where I'm at on my journey if I didn't have her. Right. Like wholeheartedly, like I do not know where I would be. Yeah. I think about that a lot. Like, cause we send like audio messages back and forth every single day about God, like about like, hey, he did this, or like, hey, this is what my quiet time was like, or like, hey, like this is where I'm at in the Bible. It's like, all day, every day, or like, hey, like I did like also like felt convicted because I did this, like gotta crucify my flesh. We say that all the time, like let me go crucify myself, like I gotta go crucify myself again.
Well, no, I love that. I love that for that you're not alone. Yeah. In this too, you know. Yeah. Yeah, because that I don't see how anyone can go through. I mean, you know, like
you're not meant to. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like so, and it's not for validation. It's not. I mean, but it's just. It's hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's a big change, like when God really like takes over your life. So my last thing I want to ask you before we kind of sign off, where do you think you're finding a lot of joy right now in life? Like, what does that look like for you?
Where do I think I'm finding a lot of joy? I think that the unknown, and I know that sounds kind of...
No, that's beautiful. Yes, that's all you need to say.
The unknown is definitely... Like, I don't want to do the same. I don't want to experience the same. I don't want to move the same. I want to... I'm ready for what God has next for me. And again, I think like you said, when you know that God has you and he's guiding you and you're on the path and you're being obedient, it's exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
It's exciting, right? It's like, God, it's almost like Christmas every time. Like you're like waiting for when God is going to give you a gift.
I love that.
And so I think, like I'm like, I feel like I've listened. I was obedient. I've done it. And I am reaping new experiences and rewards every day. Like literally, like I got a tattoo with the 444 behind my ear. And again, I said like it's about protection and clarity and devotion. And literally like the last few purchases that I made, 444 were the last like digits of it. Yeah. And so it's just like, and the girl pointed it out to me too. I didn't even pay attention. I was like UDF. And she was like, oh, 2444. She's like 444 angel numbers. I was like, and so like, it's just like reminders. It's like breadcrumbs of like, okay, like,
love that.
like, and so like it'll be little things, or it's like, I've only 1 month in my job and I already got like recognized like for a recognition, like, like people like send like love notes and like, oh my gosh, like she was really nice and she just dived in, things like that. And so like it's like those kind of things, those reminders, and it's like, again, like, okay, God, like,
I love that.
yeah, like I'm ready.
I'm
ready for the next. So
that's good. Well, thanks. And I love the joy of the unknown, because there is a lot of beauty in the unknown, and I think people are afraid of that. So
yeah,
thank you for being here. Thank you for feeling safe to share what you shared, and like hopefully it gets some people excited and thinking. And thanks to all of you too who have signed in to follow us and watch us and see what's going on. You can catch us on YouTube, Patreon, Spotify, and Apple. If you would like to be a guest, fill out the pod form, y'all, because I'm looking for guests all the time. If you want to sponsor, hit me up too, because I would love that as well. But I'm just glad y'all are here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for coming. This was lovely.
yes,
We'll see you again sometime. I'm telling you.
for sure.
Okay?
Anytime. Yes.
All right, y'all. Take care.